Welcome to Looking at Legal Stuff. Today we have 5 hearings with a high conflict couple in their contentious ongoing custody battle. Dad wants Mum held in contempt and accuses her of Munchausen's by proxy and parental alienation because their son is refusing to go to school or even get out of the car if he thinks he has to see his father. Dad says that Mum is just indulging the child and allowing him to manipulate her because he doesn't like the fact that Dad has expectations and punishments. Mom says that child is suffering from anxiety, and all this pressure from Dad is just making things worse. She says she's tried everything she can think of to get him to see his father, including trying to bribe him. Let's see what the judge thinks.
Okay.
Court is now in session. Real case 1, Lindsay Simon versus Michael Enix.
For the record, this matter is before the court to review parenting time as well as any other issues. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is attorney Amy Waskowiak, representing the plaintiff mother, Lindsay Simon. Ms. Simon is present with Ms. Waskowiak. In addition, defendant father, Michael Enix, is present. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
The parties have conferred with Mr. Pratt this morning from the front of the court. Mr. Pratt is recommending that parenting time shall continue week on, week off. So the court assumes that the things went well since we're last in court back in June. Hunter, Dad is able to get Hunter out of the house, with mom's assistance, and that's been going well.
No, it has not, sir.
Okay.
I've only had my son 2 weeks and 7 months, sir.
Okay.
He has only
Let's
been here
see.
since the last time we were in your court, sir. He came on the 17th that you ordered, which was the day before Father's Day. And then the last time that he was here was the week of the 30th of July to the 6th of August. Other than that, I have not had my son.
Okay, why? Well, what's the
Same
issue? Is he
reason as
not leaving
before,
the home?
sir. Same
Okay.
reason as before, sir. Won't leave mom.
How did you get Hunter out of the home on those 2 weeks?
Oh, well, the first time was I showed up and it was the day before Father's Day. His mom's parents weren't home at the time, where she lives with her parents. This was one of the first times nobody else was home there. I went in, I talked to him, got him outside, started throwing a football. Within 20 minutes, we were gone. Had a great week. Dropped him off, down the tubes again. On this last week here of the 7:30 to 8:06, he came that week because mom bribed him. Mom bribed him with a snake to come. That if he came with a snake, that he would get a new pet snake if he would just come to Dad's house and do what he was supposed to do. And that was for the week of 7:30 through 8:06. Other than that, since January 6th, those are the only 2 weeks I've seen him. He hasn't been to a psychiatrist. He hasn't been through anything. This whole time he's missed. We've lost his pediatrician through this process. So he no longer has a primary care physician. Nothing's changing, Your Honor. Accusations being made that I'm unruly or mean to my child because I have expectations and punishments if expectations aren't met. It is what it is. But right now, he has no medical care. He hasn't been to a checkup to a doctor in years. He hasn't been to an eye doctor.
What are you doing about that? Have you reached out and contacted a physician, gotten him transferred him to a pediatrician? What are you doing about it as dad?
Yes, I've made multiple doctor's appointments. And actually, the 2 doctor's appointments that you actually had me make, she missed. And that's the reason why he doesn't have a pediatrician anymore. Because you told me to schedule these. She can't get him out of the house. She can't get him to do this. And in fact, the last time we were here, you've got a letter there that stated that they were going to stay open after hours, open up early, whatever they could to facilitate him. And she was just, nope, can't get him there. Pandas. And nothing's changing, Your Honor. This has been going on for 12 years. This is not a new thing. This is 12 years. The only thing that's changed over the 12 years was I ended up getting the 50-50 week on, week off, and it was fantastic for Hunter. And we got school coming up, sir. And if we're going to school like we did last year, where she only had him to school 1 full week out of the whole year, we're in trouble. My son's going to be 12. He's starting 6th grade. It's a whole new animal. And he's already behind so much from COVID and missing so much school from prior to this. And then last year, it's a really bad situation for him. And in order to, he's not getting the help that he needs.
Okay, what help do you think he needs? Does he need to go? Will he go to school in person?
He needs psychiatric help, sir. He needs to see. He's got bad enmeshments. I've got multiple doctors. His old pediatrician thinks mom suffers from Munchausen by proxy. I've got an immunologist that says he's not sick. Mom makes him think he's sick. Mom makes him think he's sick, and she'll only go to places that will encourage the sickness. And all these other doctors said that she's wrong, but she continues to push this narrative, completely blowing off these other doctors. And now we have no doctors. Now we have no nothing. He got forced into online school last year. That was not a good situation at all. He quit going to school last year, January 6th. The same time that I quit seeing him was January 6th. Okay. So from January 6th to present, I've only seen him 2 weeks. Okay. He quit school. He did the online school towards the end of school. School starts literally in 3 weeks. And I'm terrified. She can't get him anywhere. When he's with her, he plays football. When he was with me for the 1 week, he was to every football practice. He hasn't been to football in 2 weeks. Now, he had an
injury. Play
injury.
football this fall?
He did, but now I guess
does Hunter want to play football this fall?
He did, but now he had an injury. But he doesn't want to do anything. He wants to stay at mom's house. That's all he wants to do.
Okay. Well,
he has no social
Mr. Pratt is recommending that the party shall cooperate to find a new pediatrician as well as a psychiatrist.
That's been stated every time we come to court, Your Honor, and nothing is changing. I can't even get her to have the conversation about it.
All right, well, let's have a conversation now. Who do you recommend as a pediatrician and psychiatrist, Mr. Enix? Who do you recommend?
I've got a Pro Medica pediatric peds department. She's got this Franklin Park peds that I just found out about today, which is fine. I just want to talk to these people and find out what they're about so we can find a doctor, get him in there.
All right. Watch call him this morning. We'll come back this afternoon, Mr. Meeks. We need to get to the bottom of this. Obviously, if you can't communicate, you need the court to be a facilitator of communication.
I'm being yelled at right now when all I've done is try to do for my son and Miss Simon.
What do you want the court to do, Mr. Enix? Tell the court what you want the court to do. What would you like the court to do, Mr. Enix?
Sir, Miss Simon is the problem. Miss Simon is the one why he doesn't have a pediatrician. Miss Simon is the one why he is going to school.
Mr. Enix, let's not point the fingers. Mr. Enix,
that's not pointing the
what
fingers.
Do you want the court to do? Mr. Enix, I'm going to mute you if you keep going on rambling on, Mr. Enix. You're rambling. You are rambling.
I want the court to find Miss Simon in contempt. I want the court to find Miss Simon in contempt today.
Okay, well, that's not going to happen today. The court is in basic contempt. Let's get back on what do you need to do? Maybe you need to bribe your son to get him out of the house. I don't know, Mr. Enix. You tell me. What
are you encouraging bribing your child to get an expectation done, sir? Sir, are you encouraging me to bribe my child to get an expectation done?
I'm asking, what do you need to do to get him out of the house? I don't know.
No. Would you bribe your own child to get him to do something?
All right, Mr. Waskowiak, is Hunter going to enroll in online school? Is that what mom wants this year?
No, Your Honor. Actually, it's each one of these questions requires quite an answer. So the parties met with the school. At that point, at that meeting, Mr. Enix told the school over his dead body was the child going to go to online school again. Also said things to Mrs. Enix during the meeting with the school, like, you need to be quiet, the adults are speaking. So that's the kind of impression that he gives the child while the child is present. In any case,
I don't want to throw mud. Let's go back. I'm not going to go there. I know they want to throw mud at each other. They can do that on their own time. Is the child going to enroll in online school?
No, the child's going to in-person school.
What school? Bedford?
Yes, Bedford.
Okay, so on mom's week, she'll get him to school, and the dad's week, dad will get him to school.
Yes.
When does school start?
After Labor Day.
Okay. Maybe we need to extend rather than week on, week off. Maybe it's got to be month on, month off. So we don't have this constant issue with Hunter getting out of the home.
Your Honor,
what-
actually, I was going to ask for two things. One is if we could have an in-camera interview. I'm going to file the motion for you. And the second is Mr. Enix has another child, and Kim Kuhn is the guardian in that case. And I think it might be useful if we appointed her the guardian in this case so that we can get to the bottom of some of the issues.
She's actually fired. She has nothing to do with that case anymore at all.
I understand. She has been the guardian in that case.
No, she wasn't. You don't know what you're talking about. She was not.
All right. Well, that's not before the court this morning. So that's another issue. But Ms. LaPrade, what do you think in terms of maybe a month, we go month on, month off? So that so Hunter's not being shuffled every week, every other week, back and forth between the parents. Courts kind of do that. I don't know. The parents can't give me suggestions how they get Hunter out of mom's home. Maybe that's the way we do it, is week on, week off, or month on, month off.
My only concern with an 11-year-old is a month might be a little long without the other parent, but I understand where the court's coming from, sir.
Any objection to that, Mr. Enix? Mr. Koviak?
Well, here, my problem with this is, okay, so both of these weeks that I got him, no makeup time was even offered. Like, she easily could have said, why don't you keep him for a couple weeks and let's see what happens. None of that is discussed ever.
Right, so Mr. Enix, we're not going backwards. I'm asking you, will that work for you, month on, month off?
Yeah, that would be fine, but
All right,
again, I don't.
Month off, month on, month off parenting time. Who wants the first month of September? Who's going to get Hunter to school and the orientation, all that?
I will.
I'm sorry?
Dad, father will.
All right, Mr. Enix, we'll have the month of September. The month on, month off parenting time. What day do you want to pick up Hunter? And they need to make it work. You need to stay there and all day if it takes to get Hunter out of the home.
I will pick him up on Saturday the 1st. Or no, that's not the 1st. What is the 1st? Saturday the 2nd.
Okay. School begins on the 5th.
Friday night the 1st, but if we need more time.
Let's do it on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, one of those 3 days. So we'll do it early morning. Mrs. Koviak, what's your client's thought in terms of the pickup? The 2nd, 3rd, or 4th of September?
2nd is fine.
All right, 10 o'clock. So Dad will pick up Hunter Saturday at 10 o'clock.
Like 2.
2 o'clock would be better.
All right, 2 o'clock on September 2nd. Miss Simon, let Hunter know he's going to go with his dad. He's going to be there for the month of September. So I know he's going to pick him up on that Saturday so he can be prepared to get his things packed. They know he's going to Dad's, and encourage that. Dad, if you need to stay there all day to get him out of the house, you got to address that. In terms of the pediatrician, psychiatrist, and the two of you don't talk outside court, is that correct?
For the most part, yeah. I mean,
okay.
I'm open.
Does the court have to appoint
I would like for us to be able to talk to multiple doctors, and I would like for us to be able to share this information with each other and pick the best doctor collectively that we can agree on.
Do you think you can do that, Mr. Enix?
What's that?
You think you can do that?
I know we can do that, but the problem is she has to be open to doing that.
Okay, so the recommendation is parties shall cooperate, find a new pediatrician, a new psychiatrist, follow the recommendations of the pediatrician and psychiatrist. So you both need to do your research, communicate to the other side, and agree upon one. If you can't, then someone's got to come before the court. Do we need another review dates? Ms. Koviak, and if these parties, the child needs to see a psychiatrist and a pediatrician.
Understood.
Do you think, does Ms. Simon believe they can reach agreement, or do we need to come back in a month for the court to decide who the child's going to see? If the parties cannot agree what's best for Hunter, the court will decide.
I would like to come back in a month and see how things are going if we can.
Okay, we can get a review date sometime in October. We'll review the psychiatrist, the pediatrician, the school situation. How about October 10th? What time?
9 o'clock.
At 9 a.m. It wouldn't be available October 10th, 9 a.m. Was that your schedule, Ms. Koviak?
Yep.
Right, Ms. Koviak, I know I sort of cut you short and I apologize. Just trying to get the bottom of this. Is there anything further you'd like to add this morning?
No, Your Honor. We're going to try to make it work.
All right, thank you. Let's try to make it work. So it'll be a month on, month off parenting time. Dad will pick up Hunter Saturday, September 2nd, 2023, 2 p.m. And I guess the exchange will be on Saturdays. So then obviously you'll return them on Saturday, September 30th. Mr. Enix, the moms, you'll both work together to identify, select a pediatrician, psychiatrist. You need to move quickly on that. He absolutely needs to see those, especially a pediatrician, as soon as possible with school starting.
He hasn't seen a pediatrician in over 2 years, so yeah, he definitely needs to see one.
Okay, and the parties can appear back before the court to review these issues October 10th, 2023, 9 a.m. via Zoom. Anything further this morning, Mr. Enix?
Not at this point. Let's just see how it goes and we'll revisit it in October.
Okay, anything further, Ms. Woskoviak?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Pratt, if you can revise the recommendation, the court appreciate that. All right, that will conclude this hearing. Now we're going to zoom out.
Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Your Honor. Have a good day.
Court will call the case of Lindsay Simon versus Michael Enix. This matter is before the court for the purpose of reviewing any outstanding issues. Claim not limited to parenting time. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Our present is attorney Amy Woskoviak, representing the plaintiff mother Lindsay Simon. Ms. Simon is present with Ms. Woskoviak. In addition, defendant father Michael Enix is present. The parties have conferred with Ms. Pratt this morning. The court has received the following recommendation that the party shall maintain month on parenting time with Hunter. The father's next month is November. In November 1st, 2023, the party shall exchange Hunter at the Jackman Road substation. All payments shall be in the calendar, the app closed calendar. All medical appointments for the minor child. Further, finally, father's requesting a finding of contempt. Not sure what that's about. There is no petition before this court asking the court to hold Ms. Simon in contempt of court. Amen. Ms. Kovacs, this recommendation agreed with your client this morning.
We are in agreement of the terms that she included. We actually would like some additional terms included, Your Honor.
Okay, was that discussed with Ms. LaPrade this morning?
We did, yes.
Okay, what are those additional terms?
Your Honor, there is still, we still need to get to the bottom of what's going on. We're just going in circles and not making any progress. We would like to ask that Kim Kuhn be appointed as the guardian ad litem in this case so that someone can investigate what's in the best interest of the child. She was the guardian ad litem for Mr. Enix's other children in Ohio and therefore already has some experience on this situation. The second thing that we would ask for, they just went to their first pediatrician's appointment. And as usual, there was quite a bit of conflict and the pediatrician asked that they not have their appointments together. So we would ask that when we have appointments for the child, that the parties not go to those appointments together. They can schedule separate appointments because otherwise this child's never going to have any providers that are going to see him. The third thing that we would ask for is that the child be enrolled in online school. He is not going to school and father will not agree to the child going to online school. So we would like to continue with his education by online and have the court order that, which is what the court had to do last time.
Of course, the court recalls we had a lot of discussion about this. It was good for Hunter to get out of the house. Obviously, he's got this condition. I know the condition is at issue, but it's important that Hunter get out of the house. And going to in-person schooling appeared to be in Hunter's best interests. But Hunter has not been going to school the last month. He's been with Dad.
He
Hunter
has
has
not,
not been with Dad
he didn't go to dad's. And he went one day to school.
with no problems.
Okay. Until the court sees that Hunter's not going to school when he's with Dad, that's when the court would consider online schooling. But again, what do we need to do to get Hunter over to Dad's house? I thought we talked through that, and Mother, maybe Mom's got to drop him off at the house and sit in the driveway till Hunter gets out of the car.
Well, Your
Rather than
Honor,
meeting
Your Honor, my client went so far as to call the police when he refused to go to find him truant. They would not take him. Hunter then started to make claims that if he had to go to Dad's, he would kill himself. Hunter ended up being admitted at the Kobacker Center and was diagnosed with anxiety as well as OCD. Hunter was claiming that in the medical records that he experiences intrusive and unwanted thoughts as a result of being at his father's. He also indicated that when he went in, that he was at severe risk for self-harm. He disclosed that he had intense anxiety around his visitation with his dad, where he felt impending doom, sweats profusely, and had a fast heart rate. So he did not go because Hunter is having anxiety regarding going to his father's house, and he's not going to school because he believes that his father is going to pick him up from school. So we were trying to do online school as a way of getting things moving so that we don't get too far behind as we have in the past.
She's leaving a portion of
Mr.
what she
Enix,
just read out.
Mr. Enix, hold on. Mr. Enix, did you receive that report that Ms. Moskoviak just read from?
She's actually leaving. I have the whole report, and she's actually picking and choosing what she wants to say. If we go on further into that report, it also says that Hunter's scared that his mother is poisoning him. And that's from all the medicines that she's had him on for over the years. He's had that fear for a long time. But it's also in the notes. It's also in the notes. He was diagnosed with generalized anxiety. He was released from the Kobacker Center with no medicines, no treatments. Speaking to the doctor, he saw once he left, every day that Hunter was there outside of Mom's home, he got better. By the last day he was there, he was a normal kid, functioning, doing all the kid things that all the other kids were doing. When he showed up, he was a ball of anxiety. Again, I've seen my son, last time I saw him was the first week of August. I'm not getting any phone calls. I'm literally completely cut off. I saw him at a doctor's appointment that we got they did refer us to a PCP. Finally, thank goodness, we now have at least some type of PCP, at which we found out at the PCP, Hunter was missing vaccinations. So we got those taken care of that day. But we would have no clue because he hasn't seen a PCP in so many years, and his stuff is spread out all over. I'm in the junction of I've had no problem getting him to school over the years, but I'm not being even given an opportunity to get him to school right now. And I'm willing to bet the house that if he came to me, he would be in school. And if he would have came on the 2nd of September, we would be having a totally different conversation about school right now. And he would have been there every single day.
How do you propose that Hunter come to your house then?
Well, I know there are facilities where you can go and Mom could drop him off and leave, and I can show up after the fact and pick him up. I know there might be a small fee. I feel that fee would be worth paying for Mom and I to do that, to get the ball rolling, because I feel like right now he's stuck. He's a 12-year-old kid. He's been at this so long, and I'm sure when he goes to school, all of his friends ask him questions. Where have you been? What's going on? Why haven't you been to school? And as a 12-year-old kid that's shy and has a little bit of anxiety, that can be a lot because you don't know how to answer, because you don't want to get picked on or made fun of. So it's easier to shut down.
Okay, what facility are you referencing or suggesting?
I know there's one in Toledo. I would have to get the name of it, but there's definitely a facility that I could look up. It's a church or something like that. I know churches do it. Anywhere where we can get some help, where we can get some separation between the pickup and drop off. And if we could just do that to get it started, I have a feeling things will change very rapidly.
Well, it's unfortunate you didn't come prepared for this hearing this morning and have a specific proposal. Check out a facility that would do this. I mean, we can't keep delaying this matter. So, Ms. Waskoviak, if Miss Simon took Hunter to school, you're suggesting Hunter will run away from school?
Well, he won't go to school with her. She can't get him to go to school. In fact, she's gone so far as to hiring a tutor to work with him at home because he won't go to school. He is afraid that his father's going to pick him up from school. That is the anxiety that we were just referencing. Mr. Enix, this is a perfect example. As he says, the day before, or I think it was the 3rd of September, my client had said, please do not tell Hunter that your visitation is going to be for a month, because she knew that that would upset him. So he then went over and told the child exactly what was going to happen. And then, of course, the child refused to go because he was going to be at dad's house for a month and he didn't want to be. So he refused to go. And likewise, if we're going to have the same problem, even if we had an exchange, because Miss Enix will say, Miss Simon will say to the child, let's not tell him that he's going to be at your house for a month. And Mr. Enix will say, well, we have to tell him the truth. And then we tell him, and then he doesn't want to go there for a month.
I mean,
So-
what you're describing there is you're going to make me the bad guy every time. You're not going to tell him that the things change because he's not doing what he's supposed to do, and Ms. Simon's not doing what she's supposed to do, but rather put it on me that when I get my child, then you're going to tell him, oh, by the way, you're with dad for 30 days because he did that. And you want to wonder why the situation is the way it is with his feelings towards dad. We're explaining right now what you just explained is child alienation, because you're not providing him with the information that's needed for him to know what's expected of him and what to do. You're going to go ahead and you're going to put that on me and paint me out to be the bad guy when all I'm doing is following the court order. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
That's not fair to Hunter.
It appears to the court that Ms. Waskoviak has a good suggestion that the court appoint a third party as a guardian ad litem to represent the interests of Hunter. Do you have any objection to that?
I absolutely have objection to that.
Okay, what's your objection? Is your objection
My
to that
objection
guardian ad
is
litem, or is your
one,
objection to hold on, let me finish my question. Is your objection to appointing guardian ad litem, or is your objection to Attorney Kuhn act in that capacity?
My objection would be to both, sir.
All right. Right, the court's going to appoint
The
the guardian
reason
ad
I
litem. The court's
object
going
is
to appoint
I've
Amber
asked for this for
Billmeyer.
3 years.
The court's going to appoint Amber Billmeyer as guardian ad litem for the children. Amber Billmeyer is a nurse. She's got a medical background. So if you can reach out to Ms. Billmeyer, we'll go back to see whether she will agree to act in that capacity. She's assisting the court very well in another case, but she might be a deal in this case because of the fact that she has a medical background.
I will ask her, Your Honor.
If she's unwilling to do so, then the court would appoint the attorney Kimberly Kuhn second as a guardian ad litem for the children.
Kimberly Kuhn is
how will the parties share that expense equally?
Kimberly Kuhn is a conflict of interest, sir.
In what way?
In what way is she was fired from a previous case of being the guardian ad litem in mine before? It would not be a good nature to have her come aboard for this one.
Your Honor, since Mr. Enix said this before, I talked to Ms. Kuhn, and she was not terminated from the Lucas County case.
If you're having conversations with Ms. Coons already, that there is a conflict of interest.
Your Honor, I simply.
So the court will appoint Amber Billmeyer. She's unwilling to act. Then Kimberly Kuhn will act as guardian ad litem for the children, for the minor child Hunter. With respect to the cost of that guardian ad litem, are you proposing that the parties share that equally, Ms. Waskoviak?
I am.
Absolutely not.
Shall share equally in her expense.
Your Honor,
review this. Yes, Mr. Enix.
Your Honor, I'm very confused as to what's happening right now.
The court has just ordered that a guardian ad litem be appointed for Hunter. And Amber Billmeyer, she has a nursing background. She's very good. And if she is unwilling to act, then Kimberly Kuhn would act as guardian ad litem, and the parties shall share equally the expense of guardian ad litem. But with respect to
see my son 2 weeks and 10 months. 2 weeks and 10 months.
All right. Well, court is going to continue. The court's going to also order that the both parties shall not be present at the same time when the child has an appointment with the pediatrician. So if mom takes him, you can we're in the parking lot. You can talk to the pediatrician thereafter, Mr. Enix. Obviously, Miss Simon needs to inform you of any appointment. And I don't know if there's a next scheduled appointment. Obviously, the pediatrician has requested that. There's a conflict if both of you are putting that pediatrician in the middle and creating that conflict.
Is that in writing, sir? Do you have that in writing in front of you from the pediatrician?
Well, was there an issue when you met with the pediatrician?
No,
Why was the
there's
pediatrician?
No, this is hearsay. This is mom making up stories that she's been doing this whole time. I don't understand how we're here for mom not following the court order.
Okay, all right.
She's
So the court
getting
will
away
change
with
the
everything
language.
right
The parties should not meet together if that is requested the pediatrician. So
was
you
nothing
can both go to
requested
the
by
appointment.
pediatrician.
If the pediatrician says, that when he needs to step out, then when he needs to step out.
That's fine.
So we can word it that if in fact that's the request, you dispute that request pediatrician, the court will order that the parties should not be present at the same time if that is a request of the pediatrician of a Hunter.
Your Honor.
With respect to the school, the court will order that parties continue month on, month off. And we're not going to wait till November 1st for father to get Hunter. We're going to do this as soon as possible. I mean, like this week, when do you want to start this? We're going to try to come up with some means that Hunter will, I guess, mom, take him to school. Take him to school, and you sit on the parking lot until he gets out of the vehicle. You don't need to make a big deal about dad. If he asked you, I guess, yeah, your dad's going to pick you up. You don't need to say for a month. But that, I don't know. The court is without the answers. The two of you as parents should have better answers. This is your child. So the court's going to, unless there's other suggestions, mother shall take Hunter to school tomorrow morning. And dad, you pick him up from school. And you'll keep him till October 31st. And mom will Hunter will go back to mom in November. So there's no sense of delaying this for 3 weeks. Miss LaPrade, any suggestions, your recommendations of the exchange child at Jackson Road substation, if that's an issue? I don't know what your thoughts are behind that. If mom takes him to school, dad picks him up.
As long as mom gets him to school, that dad's first proposal was the Jackman Road substation. So that's where that came from. But if mom's going to bring him to school, then that's fine. But if Hunter doesn't go to school, as I was told, he's only gone to school one day this month or this school year so far, I'm not sure that that's a viable option either.
Well, but he may not get he may not get out of the vehicle at Jackson Road substation and go with dad. That's the concern of the court. When he sees dad there, he may be reluctant to get out. So that's the court's thought is his mom take him to school and he's got to go to school. Tell him it's the law, Miss Simon. It's the law. He's got to go to school. And the court believes his best interest is served by going to in-person school at this point in time.
Your Honor, I have a name of a church that does what I was explaining, where we could drop him off and they'll sit with him and then I can come pick him up and vice versa. It would be Christ Presbyterian Church on Sylvania Avenue in Toledo. They have a program where you can set it up and there's a small fee. And again, I think that fee would be worth paying where mom could go in, drop him off. There'll be a person that sits with him until I show up and then he'd leave with me.
What if he doesn't get out of the vehicle at the Christ Presbyterian Church?
That I can't answer that because I don't understand any of that on how a parent can't get a child to do what they're supposed to do without consequence. So I don't have these issues ever. I've never, if we go back and we look at the history of school, like I said, mom had him in school 1 week last year, the full week. So it's a repetitive thing with not going to school and we just have to end it somewhere.
Mr. Enix, if Miss Simon and Hunter met you at the Jackson Road substation, with you being there, are you confident you'd be able to encourage Hunter to get out of the vehicle and get in your vehicle to go to school?
I'm confident we'd have way better luck than being in her home, yes. Do I think it's going to happen right away? I can't say that. All I can do is tell him I love him, I want to be with him, and have mom support that. I think if mom would support that more than supporting me as the bad guy, I think we'd be in a lot better place too. It's just my opinion on that. I'm with you. It's the law. School's not optional. And at his age, being in 6th grade, this is crucial, not just academics, but it's social. It's a lot of his life is being set up right now that he's missing.
Ms. Waskoviak, any thoughts, input on in terms of where Hunter is
client
dropped off,
thinks
whether
that-
it's at school or the
My client,
substation?
I mean, she will try school, but I think the most likely to be successful might be the police substation.
Why? Because there's a police officer there?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
I mean,
Mr.
we
Enix,
can try,
usually
I don't,
suggest that, Mr. Enix.
my
Pardon?
client,
Correct? Mr. Enix originally suggested that. Is that correct, Ms. Pratt, the Jackman Road substation?
Yes, sir.
All right, and mom obviously thinks that's the best, so we can consider that the church in the future, Mr. Enix, but at this point in time, the parties to exchange Hunter at the Jackson Road substation. So when are we gonna do that? We're gonna do that before school? Are we gonna do it after school? Maybe that's what the mom does, is mom picks him up from school tomorrow, and then you meet at Jackson Road substation after school. Will that work?
Yeah, we can absolutely try that.
I can make
Well,
that
gotta make it
work. I'll
work.
make
This
that
time you
work.
gotta make it work. Let him know he's gotta go to school, and
He
then he's
does-
gotta see his dad.
He has a psychologist appointment tomorrow at 6 p.m.
oh,
Okay,
Which I'm more than capable of taking him to.
Your Honor, that might be the best place to try to exchange the minor child with a psychologist there with them.
mhm.
okay. So
I'm all
we'll
for
change
that,
the Jackson
too.
Road substation, except for tonight. For tonight, it'll occur at the psychiatrist's office
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
or tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah,
Do
that
you know where
makes-
that's at, Mr. Enix? Do you know the name of that medical
I know
professional?
right where it's at. Yes, sir. I
Okay.
planned on being there anyways, just so I could talk to the psychiatrist. And I want to be involved in the treatment of my son too. I don't want this to be a war. I don't like this. This isn't fun for anybody. I wish mom and I could get along much better for the sake of our child. But that
Yeah.
is what it is. But our child has a responsibility to go to school and to come to visitations. So that's all I ask right now. And I think we can get things better once we get that rolling.
Two things. Number one, can I get a clarification that the order that you're going to make, that if you had said that if the pediatrician says that they both not be present, can we have it say if a doctor says that they should both not be present, then they won't be present?
We could say a medical professional. Yes.
Medical
So it'll
professional,
cover-
thank you.
It'll cover the psychiatrist or the pediatrician or nurse practitioner. So if both parents shall not be present at the time of a medical appointment if the medical professional requests that.
Okay, then the second thing is a request just to Mr. Enix, and that is if we want to make this transfer successful tomorrow, can I suggest that at least at the beginning of the appointment, you not be present so that we can get Hunter to the appointment and get started. And then if my client leaves, the child can leave with you. I'm trying to make this in the,
So you're aware, I was already planning on going today to try and talk to the doctor so I
Great.
can fill him on what my concerns are.
perfect.
So Hunter can go there because my concern is Hunter. And I don't think that anybody's realizing that right now. My concern is Hunter and getting this mental health because as soon as he gets in front of the psychiatrist, we're going to get answers.
Perfect.
And that's all I want. I want answers.
Okay, so you meet with the psychiatrist today, tomorrow, and that it's a 6 o'clock appointment. Is that correct, Ms. Waskoviak?
Yes.
So, Mr. Enix, show up at, I don't know, how long is the appointment? Is it a half hour, an hour?
I'm assuming it's an hour.
Okay, so Mr. Enix, you can show up at maybe 6:15 or 6:30. So that the Hunter doesn't see you in the parking lot, then refuse to get out of mom's vehicle. So let's get that session started tomorrow. So you shall pick up after the psychiatrist appointment.
Now, should we
Tomorrow,
leave
which
this?
is the 11th of October.
Don't talk when the judge is talking.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry. Should we leave this up to mom to make sure then that she tells the doctor that this is our, my only concern is is the doctor going to respond well to this when we put them in the middle of our exchange?
Yeah,
I think
it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt for mom to tell the psychiatrist, yeah, some of the issues. You should tell you can tell the psychiatrist when you meet with them tonight, Mr. Enix, tell them that Hunter's having a hard time getting to my vehicle. And just so you know, we're going to plan this exchange after you meet with them on Wednesday. So you give them a heads up, so maybe you can address that with Hunter.
All right. And I mean, she'll let them know. My point, I don't want them to know at the end of the appointment. I want them to know going into it. I'll bring it up today. I'm not for certain I'm going to be able to talk to them. It might be just having to leave notes.
Okay.
Because
all right, so Miss Simon can likewise tell the psychiatrist, probably that dad's going to be picking up. We're going to do an exchange after this session. Now, whether you tell Hunter in advance, I don't have the answer to that. But is it? It's actually too late to get Hunter to school today. Is it too late? Can you get him to school? What if you got him to school this morning, even though it was late, Miss Simon, and say, I'm going to pick you up afterwards. I'll be there to pick you up.
I will absolutely go home and try that. I try that every single day with him. We've changed up our routine. We try everything. He's afraid of his dad. He's afraid to go to school. He's afraid. This isn't something, I understand that not everybody understands mental health and what goes on with this child, but there's also a reason why he did so much better in online school last year, because it's just better for him and some kids need it. And I will do my best and I will do everything I can to try to get him to school today, but there's a reason he's not going. And I just think not letting this kid do online school, he could do online school with Mr. Enix as well, but the longer we go, the longer we don't allow him to do this, the more behind he falls.
Right. Well, let the psychiatrist know that he's afraid to go to school and get an opinion from the psychiatrist of whether or not it's contrary to his best interest to attend in-person school. But until the court sees some documentation of that, the court believes he should be going to in-person school. Perhaps we can get a recommendation from the guardian ad litem as well. So the court would like to set a review date, perhaps maybe the early November. Maybe November 7th or 8th.
On November 7th, we have 8:30, 9.
How about 8:30 on November 7th? Or would that be a time when we're getting, would that interfere with getting to school? What time would school start? 8 o'clock?
7:30.
Okay. So will that work, Ms. Woskovic, you available on the November 7th at Tuesday at 8:30?
It works for me. That's fine.
Mr. Enix?
Whatever we have to do, I'm here for it.
Yeah, the court likes to, let's hopefully have some more information, some more input from the guardian ad litem as well as psychiatrist when we come back. So we'll put our docket for November 7th at 8:30. If you could put that in the recommended order, Ms. LaPrade, the court appreciate that.
Yes.
So again, the court wants to do month on, month off, but the price shall exchange at the Jackman Road substation, except for the month of October. The parties shall exchange Hunter on October 11th after the child is appointed with the psychiatrist at the psychiatrist's office. And of course, on November 1st, I don't know, will be October, will you exchange October 31st? I guess dad could take him to school on the 31st. Mom could pick him up from school afterwards on October 31st. To facilitate that change back to mom on in November.
So my time would be up then November 1st or October 31st.
Well, I am suggesting October 31st after school.
Okay.
And again, it seems unless you want to exchange them then on November 1st before school at the Bedford substation, I'm just trying to make this seamless. Any suggestions, Ms. Woskoviak?
When we 31st makes more sense.
Right. So do you want to Bedford substation then on the 31st after school?
Oh, why not just I take him to school and he rides the bus home to mom's house? I feel like that's a seamless, and if we can develop that as a habit, then I feel like that is good for everybody.
Ms. Woskoviak?
That's fine.
Okay, so we don't need to exchange at the Bedford substation, correct? What about the future?
Well, I guess we can revisit that, because if he comes like he's supposed to tomorrow and we get a successful visit and he's going to school, the next time we are in front of you would be on the 7th, and we could revisit that then, because he would have been gone back on the 31st via the bus from school to mom's. So we really wouldn't even have had an opportunity to do that then at that point.
All right, that the courts think that makes sense, Mr. Enoch. So we will eliminate the thing about the reference to the exchange at the Bedford substation. We can revisit that in November. Hunter will be advised, encouraged to take the bus to mom's house on October 31st, back to mom's house.
And that's how we used to do things. So if we can get him back in a flow of things, that'll work perfect.
Okay. Well, that's the court's hope. Anything further this morning, Ms. Moscoviak?
No, Your Honor.
Let's give it a try. Mr. Unix, anything further?
Nope, I just want this to work.
That's the court's hope, and hopefully with the guardian litem, the court will get some additional assistance. Ms. LaPrade, anything further from your end?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. The court will enter the order, copy mailed to everyone. Now we'll serve it on November 7th at 8:30.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay. You can zoom out. Have a good rest of the day.
Is now in session, top of page 1, Lindsay Simon versus Michael Enix.
For the record, this matter is before the court for the purpose of reviewing any and all outstanding issues, primarily that of parenting time of the minor child Hunter. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Amy Waskowiak, representing the plaintiff mother, Lindsay Simon. Ms. Simon is with Ms. Waskowiak. In addition, defendant father, Mike Enix, is present. In addition, our guardian ad litem for the minor child, Attorney Stephen Jednick, is present. The parties have conferred with Ms. LaPrade. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
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 Has everyone received a copy of Mr. Jednick's report?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Enix, did you receive a copy of that?
I did, yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Everyone's conferred at length this morning with Ms. LaPrade, who's made the fine recommendation that father's parenting time and communication be suspended on an interim basis at this time. If the child initiates communication with father, he may respond to the child. The child shall attend school, in-person school, unless excused for medical reason. If the child refuses to attend school, the child shall receive appropriate punishment by mother. A doctor's note shall be provided by the current provider. So in other words, if he's not going to school for a medical reason, he needs to be taken to the doctor for a medical excuse. Both parties shall communicate or may communicate with the school, Bedford schools. Neither party shall interfere with the school in any fashion or way. Neither party shall make any disparaging remarks about the other parent. Neither party shall discuss this case with the minor child. And neither party shall allow the child to see the messages on app close. Hunter shall continue with the family medical center. Both parties are able to communicate with the family medical center, and they should follow all recommendations unless otherwise agreed. All appointments shall be added to the calendar function in app close. And the parties will return to this court to review parenting time on December 12th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. That's recommendation appears to follow the recommendation of guardian litem Jednick. Seems like we've tried everything else, week on, week off, month on, month off. Unfortunately, nothing seems to be working. So this recommendation appears to be reasonable. Ms. Waskowiak, is your client opposed or agreeable with this recommendation this morning?
We are agreeable to the recommendation.
Okay. Mr. Enix, what's your position?
My position is to get my son in school, that I'm willing to agree to this.
Okay. Temporary basis. Let's give it a try. And the hope, I guess, is come back on December 12th. We can set up some times where dad can have dinner with Hunter. And mom, obviously, if you're the best friend, you've got to encourage Hunter to have a relationship with his dad. You got to emphasize that his dad loves him, his dad cares about him, and he's got to. We're taking a little break right now. Obviously, you don't want to discuss with Kate, but you need to encourage, foster that relationship between dad and his child. That's how you best serve your son. And likewise, Mr. Nick, the same thing with the fostering relationship between Hunter and his mother.
Mhm.
All right, is
I
there,
miss and love my son, Your Honor. That's all I know. And I'm willing to do anything it takes right now to get him back in school and in a routine to get him back on
Okay.
track. So,
all right, right. Thank you. Is Hunter in school today, Ms. Skobiak?
No,
Okay. So she needs to take him tomorrow morning.
Your Honor,
I
we've
don't know
arranged that Mr. Jedinak is actually going to go to Miss Simon's house this evening to let Hunter know about what's going on. And so that he will convey it to him directly. He has made that offer and we have accepted.
Okay. Well, the court appreciates your efforts, Mr. Chadnick, and I appreciate your, obviously you've spent some time and efforts on this and given it consideration, so the court appreciates your past and your continuing efforts and want to be actively involved to assist not only the parties, but also the court in achieving good resolution for Hunter.
And to make it clear, this is really a trial and error, and this isn't intended to punish Mr. Enix. I appreciate him wanting to cooperate to get his son back in the school. I'm just trying to find a solution to the problem that hasn't been tried before. A lot of this is based on what Hunter's communicated to me, so this gives him an opportunity, as I've put it in mediation, he could put up or shut up with his concerns about going back to school. And if that's not the issue, we need to figure out what it is. So,
and you assure Hunter that his dad's not going to randomly show up and pick him up, take him out of school, correct?
That's the whole point of coming to see him tonight. The whole point is I want to make sure he's in school every day till we come back when he's supposed to, unless there's a medical reason not to. And then we could address these other issues with dad. And I want to get this family back to normal if we can. So,
all right. Thank you, Mr. Jadnick. Anything further, Mr. Skobiak or Mr. Enix?
No.
I just know him getting to school. They've got counseling at school that he's going to do on a regular basis as well once he gets there, that we've set up since the very beginning. So he has extra help at school as well. So let's just get him to school and I think that fixes a lot of things.
Okay, and you'll be able to verify through the school, Mr. Enix, that he's attending school and he's getting counseling, correct?
Every single day, yes, sir. They keep up with me on everything if he's doing work, and also I'm able to see his attendance every single day.
Okay, good. All right, let's give this a try. Thank you, Mr. Jadnick. Thank you, Ms. Brad, for your efforts this morning. Court will adopt the recommendation. We'll put this on our docket December 12th at 1:30. All right, that will conclude this matter. We can zoom out. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
First of all, and I'll listen to the parties in a moment, but this court, the record has tried, has admittedly exercised drastic action trying to get Hunter just to have contact with his father. We've done month off, month on, week off. On the order of December 20th, 2023, going back to December, father was awarded parenting time Christmas Day until review on February 14th, today's date. That did not work. Hunter would not get out of mom's vehicle, would not have any contact with dad. So that caused the guardian Jadnick to file a motion with this court, which he did on January 12th, asked the court to review this prior to the review of February 20th, because nothing was going to change. So this court, I believe, heard the matter on January 23rd. It made sense. Nothing was changing. Nothing was happening. So the court reviewed it on January 23rd and entered admittedly a drastic form of action in terms of ordering that mother bring Hunter to court. Mother has followed the directions of the court. She has done that. And Hunter will not get out of her vehicle. Perhaps it's creating more problems, unfortunately. So without argument, necessity of argument, the court will in fact, first of all, set aside the order of this court to enter January 23rd, 2024. That no longer is in the best interest of minor child. In addition, the court will order that mother enroll Hunter in virtual school, presumably with Bedford schools, if they will permit that.
Why?
The court, sir, don't interrupt, Mr. Enix. I will let you talk when I call upon you. Do not interrupt. Finally, I will set a review. We'll talk about a review date shortly, sometime in April. And the court's going to order, and I'm open to any suggestions, that the court is going to order that there be an evaluation of Hunter. And the court would suggest that the parties consider University of Michigan Mott Children's Hospital to be initiated by the plaintiff's mother. It needs to be a full, and not an MD. We need a specialist that somebody can do this. There's a disagreement between medical professionals whether or not Hunter is suffering from pandas or something else. He clearly has some deep-rooted psychological issues and problems. And mom could just invite dad over to the house to have a cup of coffee and sit with Hunter, with the understanding he's not going to leave Hunter. But obviously, these parents, unfortunately, cannot co-parent to this child, to the detriment of this child. So with that, I'm going to first call on Mr. Jednick. Do you have any further recommendations in terms of Hunter needs treatment? And the court has read your most recent updated report, and I appreciate your involvement, your efforts in this case. But everything the court's tried to date has not worked. So we need, I think, the full psychological evaluation of Hunter by a qualified person at some facility, whether it's out of state or whether it's at University of Michigan Mott's Hospital. The court recalls at one time, Ms. Simon had an appointment at Mott's Hospital, but Mr. Simon, Mr.
Parenting time.
I don't think in order for parent time to work. So it's futile. Anything else you want to add, Mr. Jednick?
Well, second, the disagreement between the parties, and this is going to get into the specialist and evaluation, is there's a incredible disagreement about the pandas diagnosis that mom has obtained. And of course, dad has very strong feelings about that diagnosis. So there's going to be a battle of specialists. So, I mean, I welcome and invite mom to identify a specialist, get a consultation, get that information to the court. So Mr. Enix has opportunity to see it, and I'd like to see it and determine if that's the best course of action. But we do need to move forward, and I do want to put that mom in the driver's seat on that, because Hunter is likely to go with mom to these appointments, and that's the only way we're going to move forward. So I want to give her that discretion, provided she gets that information to the court.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chappell.
Your Honor, I thought Mr. Jednick's suggestion relative to the medical treatment was very appropriate relative to before anything actually is implemented, that a Lombardo hearing would take place. That way, we could then, the parties will have the opportunity to make any arguments that they want to make relative to the suggested course of treatment. That way we can at least move the ball down the field. So Ms. Simon will investigate the options and then present them to the court. And I'm sure we will be chatting with them as well. But again, this is why I think Mr. Jednick's suggestion makes a lot of sense. We don't have to argue today about what the suggested course of treatment is. We only have to, we understand that we'll be identifying, here's what we believe should happen. And obviously for a full evaluation as the court is ordered. And if there's disagreement about it, then, we'll argue about it at that time when the information is presented.
As Miss Simon hopes she's not going to go back to the same doctors there needs to be a specialist, not just some general MD that claims that's familiar with pandas. So I am hoping she can move forward, and the court believes it should be a facility that employs specialists. So perhaps she can go online and reach out to other doctors and find a specialist in this field.
And we can assist in that regard as well, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Enix.
Yes, sir. So this has been going on for a number of years now.
Courts are well aware of that.
I would like to
very well
I want to make
some
some statements here. Okay, well, we're not then, because the very first place that Ms. Simon went was the University of Michigan Medical Center to seek out this pandas treatment in the very beginning. They denied her. They told her to go to the Mott Center to have psychological examinations done on Hunter. She never completed that. She then sought out Sancta Familia in Columbus. Okay, after her pediatrician and everything all said pandas wasn't a thing. Okay, then she hand selected Dr. Jara, who you court ordered us to see, who then has him and the court ordered neurologist Dr. Nagel both have listed and signed their name to papers that say they are concerned that Miss Simon suffers from Munchausen by proxy. That's never been addressed. That's been allowed to continue. So then once that happened, she sought out pediatric place, Cleveland, and that was her specialist. She does all that without any knowledge. No PCP has ever brought up pandas, and that's the only thing that she has sought out. I've asked this court numerous times now to please get my son's psychological evaluation for years now, and we haven't done that. Now, on top of that, if all of what they're saying about my son's mental state is true, why has he not seen his therapist, Mr. Poling, since December 18th? If he is having such mental breakdowns to the point where things are going on, why is he not seeing a child psychologist? I just left my psychologist, Dr. Sislow, and he has the same questions I have. That if this is continuing to go on and the only thing she's pursuing is pandas, but she doesn't pursue a psychological exam for my child, this whole time, what I've located right in Lambertville, Michigan, there's a child psychologist through Mercy who is very well rated, very good, takes his insurance, can get him in, can do all of that. He could call there today and schedule an appointment with him. But I would like to, if we're going to do this, that you set forth that it needs to be the University of Michigan Medical Center and the Mott Center that he goes to, and we follow all of their recommendations. We don't go off the cusp. We put it in the hands of those medical professionals, and we follow what they say. Because if school is the most important thing that we've been concerned about, I've provided you a copy, everybody here, of Hunter's IEP discharge. He did IEP for 1 year in 3rd grade. In that IEP discharge, you will find that before he went to 4th grade, after that year, that was the first full year that I was given the 50-50 week on, week off schedule. And Hunter had a regular relationship with me in school. He was off the IEP within 1 year. He read at a level of 514 with 517 being above. He was in math on level at 209. Now, this was after COVID years and all the school he missed for the so-called pandas, okay? Now, they also go on to report that he is no longer eligible because of this for a special needs student. Then they also go on to list that Hunter was absent 14 days that school year, all of which were under mom's time, okay? And then they listed his excuses of anxiety, refusing to get out of the car. Now, this is the IEP report signed by these professionals. Basically, what they're stating there is as soon as the half 50-50 parenting time went on and Hunter was coming to me regularly, you'll also see his grade card for that year. He soared. So then we look at the next year at his grade card and his attendance of the same 50-50 with no IEP help, him doing himself. He is doing outrageously great at school. He's getting raving reviews, yet he still missed 17 days of school that year. Now, the school year is 180 days. He didn't miss any days with me. He missed those with mom. That equates to 20% of the time that mom had him, he missed school. That equates to basically about 1 day per week. So that's 3rd grade, that's 4th grade. Then we roll into 5th grade last year where the wheels started to fall off. I coached him in 4th grade football. I coached him in 5th grade football. October, about the second week, the wheels started falling off with Miss Simon, and he started missing school left and right. Before December, she only had him to school for 1 full week of school, and that was November 13th. Before that, I was still not getting my time with him on a regular basis, but I did not bring it to the court. Then, 3 weeks before Christmas, she proceeded to give me, and there are text messages that were provided that show she gave him to me for those 3 weeks because he was being unruly with her. I took him, no problem. He got sick. He ended up going back. He stayed with me for 2 weeks. He went back with mom for 1 week. Then he came back for the Christmas holiday. Then he went back to mom's. Then he came back to me for the New Year's to go back to school. He went to that first week of school in January. Then the wheels fell off. And he's never set foot back in a school facility since then. except for the one day at the beginning of this school year. He did virtual school last year, but he didn't do the program the right way, where he was supposed to be on camera, supposed to be audible. Instead, he was no camera, not audible, to the point elementary school, because mother took FMLA vacation. They thought, unprovable, that she was doing the work for him, because the conversations back and forth with my son, that anybody knows the history, he doesn't communicate and ask questions and all that stuff. However, the teacher was getting bombarded with question after question after question after question, and the work was getting done, but nothing was done on camera. So basically what we have is a history shown by the school that when Hunter's with me on time, Lindsay's doing everything she's supposed to do, he goes to school, he soars, he does everything. However, history shows with mom, he misses school on a consistent basis. Now, is that pandas? Only when he's with mom? I don't think so. I think that's more of an underlying problem. But I'm not being given a chance to do anything. And now I'm being told that he's being forced to go to online school, which if he comes to me, I can't facilitate. I don't have my mom retired at home like she does. See, what she does is she goes to work every morning and leaves him with grandma, who then sits there and allows him to watch TV all day, so there's no punishment. She showed up to one day when she was ordered to come to court, which was that Friday. She called in that Monday and said that he was having a breakdown, wet the bed, did all that. Same day, I went to the doctor's appointment where none of that was brought up to the doctor. She did bring up that he was chewing his fingers. I asked the doctor to look at that. He did. He said there was no visible new damage to his fingers. In fact, he didn't see anything wrong. We all held our hands out and said, we all chew on our fingers. The doctor also made a comment while we were in there of how well we were all getting along. I was able to give Hunter a hug during that doctor's visit. Hunter gave me a hug. We were able to tell each other we loved each other. There was no animosity there. So this is a problem that I think we're putting on Hunter to dress up as away from things, but the facts show that when he's not with her or outside of that home, he's a completely different child that behaves in a completely different way. And we're not able to see that until we separate him from mom. And in my opinion, to do that, we have to rip the Band-Aid off. And if there's a small bleed that we have to let scab up, for me, it hurts me to do anything like that to my son. I love him very much, but I'd rather take that 5 minutes of pain and get it over with than keep dragging this out. Because right now, he was put in a mental facility by his mom, released to his mom, right back into the same equation he's been in. He's been in his ongoing circle of the same situation and same circumstance with no change. And I'm not being allowed to parent or get any change, but I'm able to prove that when I get the opportunity, it's a completely different outcome. And I encourage that we get him to me still. We don't do the online school. We force in school. We hold Miss Simon accountable. We get him to me. And when he gets to me for a week, I don't care if we do it every day, every 3 days, we have the guardian come visit so he can see every single day of the progress. Because I know my child, and it's like I'm being told that I don't know my child. I don't have a relationship with them. He's being manipulative. He's winning right now. By granting him online school because that's what he wants, he initially wins again. So he won by not getting out of the car. He wins by not having to go to school. He'll win by having the online school. So Hunter is winning. There's no consequence for any of his actions or any accountability for anybody. And I'm sorry, but I'm being called names and being blamed and being painted as a certain way when all I want is the best for my son. And I want some doctors, not these run-of-the-mill guys that Lindsay goes and searches out, but actually some hard doctors to go through, because we've done it. We've gone through the PCP, we've gone through the neurologist, we've gone through the immunologist, and we've gone through the psychiatrist, which all say pandas is not effective. All of them. And they were all court-ordered by this court, and this court refuses to acknowledge the Munchausen by proxy, which is a problem because, especially in today's day and times with things that are going on, how serious this is, I'm afraid one day we might be reading another story about my son, and that's not fair to him. So I asked the court to consider all of this evidence that I just presented that shows with me getting to school, Hunter soars. Without me, he fails miserably.
All right, to Mr. Unix, all your comments are noted for the record, and the court has given you the opportunity to get Hunter to school, but he will not get in the car with you. He won't go to the doctor's appointment with you. He won't go to school with you. He won't get in your vehicle. So how do you
He
propose
doesn't show
that
up.
this court? All right, I'm not gonna. You keep interrupting, Mr. Unix. So I'm just telling you the record reflects you were given the opportunity. You've not been able to make it work. I don't know what you're suggesting. Well, how do you suggest this court get Hunter into your home?
Well, first we have to separate him from mom. I've said that now for 5-6 years. It's
Well,
been the
if
same
if
thing.
you
We had to
can't
do it before.
Mr. Enix. If you as his father cannot do that, who's going to do it?
You.
I'm not going to go out to his house. And what do you want me to do? Call the
I'm not
police?
asking you to go out
Arrest
to his
him?
house. I'm asking you to force mom to bring him to the courtroom, to your chambers, where you will have him. She can leave from that point. You can give him to me. It's that
Mr. Enix,
simple.
record
It's
should
been done
reflect-
numerous times.
The record should reflect that Miss Simon was here numerous days and Hunter would knock it out of the vehicle. Miss Patrick went out, tried talking to him. He would knock it out of the vehicle.
Miss
Come into
Simon
the
was there
court.
one
She
day,
sat out in
sir.
the parking lot all day. So
Miss Simon was there one day, sir. She was not there every day.
okay.
And she manipulated the court and lied to you.
All right. The court's enough. Mr.
So you're going to not acknowledge your court order. I just want to make sure I know for the record.
The court satisfied she has complied with the intent of this court's order. Mr. Chappell, the court does not believe we need a psychological evaluation. We don't need the court is not going to put any weight on some report from this Hispanic organization in Columbus, Ohio. So Ms. Simon should not waste your time going back to this organization that alleged penis. We need an independent psychological evaluation, not a penis evaluation, but a psychological evaluation. The court would strongly recommend Mott's children. That's where it started. Mr. Enix, I don't know what caused that evaluation to discontinue, but that's where the court would suggest we need an independent psychological evaluation. We don't need the Dr.
Dad
Jar.
had
We
no
don't need
clue
this
about it, sir. Dad
organization in
had no
Columbus.
clue about any of the panda stuff. You're not listening.
Anything further
You're
this
making
afternoon,
false
Mr.
statements.
Jednick?
No, you're
Mr.
putting
Chappell?
words in my mouth.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you. And we've heard the court loud and clear relative to the independent psychological exam, and we will be seeking that out.
All right. And Mr. Enix, you'll be provided with a copy of that, and then you can weigh in on that. And if you
It's in the
if
file,
you
sir.
have,
It's in your file right there with the evidence. It's been turned on. It says University of Michigan Medical Center at the top. She did all of that without my knowledge, sir. Everything she does for pandas is without my knowledge. I've never picked a doctor, sir. I've never had a chance to get a second opinion.
This
You court ordered
evaluation
everything
shall
and you
be
refuse to
initiated by the
stand by it.
plaintiff mother, Mr. Chappell. If you could provide the order to that effect, please.
Yes.
Finally, I'm going to set a review date. Because I want Ms. Simon to move on this so that we hopefully have maybe just a summary from reports. And the court's thinking is in April.
So you're going to roll this out to April and keep my son from me even more.
We can't get an evaluation overnight, Mr. Enix. It's going to take him time.
Sir, do you realize how long my son has not been in any relationship with his father or his family? And you're saying that's healthy to continue, and you're going to allow Ms. Simon, who I've proven now over and over again, is failing.
Hey,
But you
Mr.
keep,
Enix,
if
again,
this was about child support, I'd be in jail.
Mr. Enix, stop.
No.
You want this court to go down and forcefully pull Hunter out of his mother's house?
Or hold his mom in contempt. That's where we started. Do what your order says.
Okay. All right. Your comments are your suggestion noted, Mr. Enix. So it says it's review in April. I'm looking at perhaps the first week of April.
Yeah, I'll be
Jednick.
I'll be out of town that well, I can have Miss Waskoviak cover it though, Your Honor. That's fine.
It's going to the bar and Lansing anyway.
Do you think that I had no idea the wait time at Mott's Children's Hospital to get an evaluation? Maybe Miss Simon has a contact that she reached out to before they discontinued that.
Yeah, we will be looking at that as well. And I've also thought about maybe reaching out to Sparks. Anytime, Your Honor, I'll make that work.
At this point in time, we don't want to an obstructionist. We don't want the doctors throwing up his hands because Dad's upset. You've destroyed some other medical relationships.
Sir, I've only done it to the panda specialist she snuck to. I've never done it to the University of Michigan or any of his PCPs.
All right.
You're putting words in the mouth. No, you're stepping all over me, sir.
I disagree with you, Mr. Nix. If you have a
You're
problem with it,
not
you can hire an
allowing me
attorney.
to
You can go to
represent
the Michigan Court of
myself
Appeals.
properly.
Okay.
You're not. You're violating all my rights.
Call an attorney and you can go to the Michigan Court of Appeals, Mr. Nix. I'm
You're
doing
telling
my
me again
best.
to get an attorney? Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me without an attorney, I have no rights?
I didn't say that at all, Mr. Nix. Stop putting words in the court's mouth. We're done. And please, I'll zoom out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
For the record, this matter is before the court for review of a defendant father's parenting time, status of a neurological evaluation for the minor child, and virtual schooling and any other issues. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Amy Waskowiak, representing the plaintiff mother, Lindsay Simon. Ms. Simon is present. In addition, Attorney Bernadine Trout is present, representing the defendant father, Michael Enix. Good afternoon, Ms. Trout. And
Good
Michael
afternoon.
Enix is present, Mr. Enix. And finally, our guardian ad litem, Stephen Jednick, is also present. The parties have conferred at length with Mr. Pratt. I apologize. We had some matters that just went over this afternoon, so I apologize for the delay. We try to schedule these every 30 minutes. Sometimes they run over. First of all, did everyone receive a copy of the guardian ad litem report of Mr. Jednick?
I did.
I did.
Okay, and Mr. Enix, you've received a copy as well?
I did through my attorney,
Okay.
yes.
All right. All right, the parties have conferred with Mr. Pratt. Mr. Pratt has provided the court with fine recommendation that Mr. Enix shall have reasonable phone contact via phone calls, text message with the minor child. Hunters and new therapists shall be notified by mother that a goal, yes, a goal is to reunify the child with the father. Absolutely, that's the primary goal here. In addition, get him back to school. The parties were ordered on November 7th, 2023 to add all appointments to the app closed calendar. Fathers not to interfere or attend those appointments, but at least should be made aware of them by mom on the app closed calendar. Father shall begin access to my chart for the minor child hunter. Father shall be kept informed of all information regarding medical and schooling for the minor child hunter. The minor child hunter shall be enrolled in Bedford Virtual Academy for the first semester of the 2024-25 school year. And he shall continue with Dr. Hasib and Dr. Lloyd and follow all reasonable recommendations. Further, both parties shall submit to psychological evaluations at their own expense with Dr. Drescher. And finally, the parties shall share the cost of the psychiatric evaluation of Hunter. And the parties will return to this court to review outstanding issues on December 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Obviously, it goes without saying that any prior orders which are not inconsistent with this recommendation would remain in full force and effect. That is a recommendation. Ms. Waskowiak, is this recommendation agreeable with Ms. Simon?
Yes, can I ask the date? I don't believe I knew that before.
I'm sorry, the date is December 3rd at 9 a.m.
December 3rd. Okay, yes, it is agreeable, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Trout, is this a recommendation agreeable with your client?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
Okay.
And if you would, does the court want me to proceed in explaining why?
Yes, yep, in terms of what is every provision of this recommendation unacceptable?
Not every provision, Your Honor, but most of it, yes.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, we've had an opportunity to review the GAL report as well as have lengthy meeting with FOC today. What we're concerned about is that mom has really the focus of the court and past relationships here is the focus has been on dad's relationship with the son. Our position is that mother has been woefully inadequate in parenting this child. She seems to be totally incapable of parenting the child. The child is 12 years old. He seems to be able to dictate pretty much whatever is going on in life. There's a recommendation that for the psychological examinations. My client hasn't seen his child in over a year.
Ms. Bernadine, Ms. Trout, are you familiar with the history of this case? Are you familiar with the history of this case?
Oh, I've seen some videos, Your Honor.
Every possible conceivable human possibility this court has exercised without success.
I got you.
Trying to get Hunter to see his dad without
I got you.
success. Well, I had one day where Miss Simon sat out in the van outside the courthouse for the entire 8 hours trying to get Hunter in there.
Saw that on the video as
And
well,
court
Your
tried
Honor.
everything. We tried to
Got
have
you.
Mr. Enix share parent time with his Hunter. Hunter would not leave the house, wouldn't get out of the vehicle. I've tried everything conceivable to mankind.
Yeah,
So you give me the
saw
magic
that.
answer. Clearly, the psychological evaluations are appropriate to both sides. I know there's claims of parental alienation, so both sides should get psychological evaluations.
But Your Honor, the reason why I'm objecting, and if I could create a record of why for the sites,
Sure.
is that the whole purpose of this psychological examination is to look at what's going on with this child. Dad has not even been there. This motion came about because Dad wanted to see his son. So now it's been over a year that he's not seen him. And mother has been exposed to this child for all of this time. I think the focus of a psychological evaluation should be between mother and son, because she has been the one there influencing him and being with him for the last year. Father has not. There's just absolutely no reason for Dad to have a psychological evaluation as far as parenting, because he hasn't been able to parent his son. So I just don't see why he should go through the expense of a psychological evaluation. I believe the focus needs to be on mom and son and that relationship, because something is amiss here, Your Honor. And it's amiss because mother has been with this child. And she's allowed him to be at home. She's allowed him to have no activities, outside activities, those kinds of things. And I think the psychological evaluation needs to focus on them and not Dad. Somehow we need to turn the tables here and look at something else that's going on, particularly since Dad has not been exposed. So that's one objection that we had. The other objection, Your Honor, is for a 5-month review. 5 months for what? We would prefer something akin to 90-day review. They're saying that they want to review because the child doesn't have a diagnosis yet. It doesn't take 5 months to get a diagnosis. Then it was, well, you need to get the psychological evaluations. It doesn't take 5 months to get a psychological evaluation. So we're asking for a sooner review than 90 days. And we're asking that the psychological evaluation be mom and son and not include Mr. Enix, because he simply has not even been with the child at all. So why is he being evaluated? Because he's brought emotion? I don't understand that.
Those are valid points, Ms. Trout. So the remainder of the recommendation is acceptable. I understand, not totally, but again, Mr. Enix is willing to live with the other recommendations about the virtual school for the next semester.
Well, we'd have pretty much no other choice. I mean, he's not going to in-person. He's got to be educated some kind of way. So we're not objecting to that, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Trout. Ms. Woskowiak, do you want to respond to those two issues? Certainly, clerk can move up the review date. We can get a review date the first week of November. And these things need to move on. I'm just sort of disappointed. I thought we'd have this full evaluation of Hunter by now.
Yes, Your Honor.
This thing is dragging out way too long. Mr. Simon needs to get on the phone. I don't know why the court wanted University of Michigan, not, I don't know, NOMA.
Well, there's two.
NOMS. I don't know what institution that is, but it's not University of Michigan. That's what the court ordered.
Well, let me explain that to Your Honor, because I was prepared to do that. So there was an original referral sent to the University of Michigan a couple days after the hearing. The University of Michigan, and I have the letter that I can show the court, that on May 6th, they denied the neuropsychological department report. That was then the pediatrician then sent it back again and did another referral. That one was denied on June 14th. So after both of those denials by the University of Michigan, she then took it upon herself to go to find another place that would do the evaluation. And that was the one that was attached to Mr. Jedniak's report. There was then a subsequent referral made to the infectious disease expert And she managed to, they told her that that would be 10 to 12 months to get in. She got on the waiting list for August 21st. They then pulled her up to an appointment. She actually went today to Dr. Lloyd as a follow-up. So she has been more than diligent. And I think that actually proves my point that we do need 5 months, because we were in here in April and it took all of this time. Unfortunately, the battery is getting low on my computer. I may need to get a plug-in a second, Your Honor. But it took all of that time to get to the University of Michigan for one doctor, for the infectious disease expert, and to get the neuropsych evaluation. And even then, we couldn't get them both to the University of Michigan because of all the obstacles. So I think that that is appropriate, that it could take us a while, given insurance, given doctors, everything that would be required to follow through. As to her other argument that the psychological evaluation should not be of Mr. Enix, I would say that just because the child has not been with him does not mean that he does not have any psychological disorders that should be evaluated. This child has shown consistently that he doesn't want to go with his father. And if there is a psychological reason for that, the court should be aware of it. If we are just to do Ms. Simon's evaluation and it comes back that she doesn't have any problems, we don't then want to wait and find out and have it do a psychological evaluation of Mr. Enix. It's appropriate in these cases to do everybody all at once by one person and get the results of those. I will say also from my personal experience, those things do take quite a long time to get a psychological evaluation. So we can do an earlier appointment, but I'm afraid that if we set this earlier, what's going to happen is that we won't have all this information.
Has anyone reached out to Dr. Drescher to find out how long it's going to take?
I did not reach out to her to ask her how long it's going to take, but I can say from other experience with her, it took several months. I would say 4 months.
So University of Michigan will not do an evaluation of Hunter without a referral from a pediatrician. Is that correct? Ms. Waskowiak, you're freezing up.
Yeah, I think her battery might have gone on her, Your Honor.
Record, Ms. Waskowiak. Oh, has now returned. She had some technological problems.
She's back.
Okay.
Your Honor, I would ask to reiterate the fact that mother has woefully failed to do what this court has ordered. She never did get the appointment with U of M. She took him to another doctor who has made an entire circle. Now we go back to U of M. The recommendation is to go back to U of M or Cleveland. So now we're in this circular pattern with no results since April.
I agree. The court's frustrated likewise. Now, what does NOMS stand for? Northern Ohio, what, medical something? Even the paperwork doesn't even describe what NOMS stands for.
Well, I know it was in search of pandas, and we were told not to bring pandas into it.
This is what the recommendations of the people who are doing the evaluations, that's their conclusion. The fact that
what institution is this? Tell me what the name of the institution is. NOMS?
Northern Ohio Medical Specialists. And I can share the screens for Your Honor from the University of Michigan Medicine, where they did not accept the neuropsych assessments twice. She twice sent up referrals from the pediatrician. They twice refused the referrals. I will read from it. It says that we have reviewed the referral information and determined that the primary concerns appear to center on behavioral psychiatric difficulties rather than neurocognitive impairments. Our clinic serves primarily medical and neurodevelopmental concerns. Thus, we are less equipped to optimally evaluate children with primarily psychiatric behaviorally related concerns. And that was the same response that they got in June 14th when they sent a slightly different referral from the pediatrician's office. So it was only after 2 times when the University of Michigan said, we aren't going to accept the neuropsych evaluate or referral, that she went to another place because she knew she couldn't come back to this court empty-handed.
Did the referral have pandas in it?
It did not.
Right, perhaps you can provide a copy of that correspondence to Ms. Trout and to Mr. Jednick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the court just pointed, maybe, I'm not sure who suggested we need a neuropsych evaluation. The court
That was
also
the
adopted
pediatrician.
recommendation.
No,
It could
it
be
was
another
the
specialist
psychologist.
that
The
needs to reach
psychologist.
out to University of Michigan rather than neuropsych. This
That was the
court said-
psychologist's recommendation.
Okay. I mean, has someone gone back to that psychologist and said, hey, the U of M says a neuropsych is not appropriate for this child?
Well, they got the neuropsych done locally. That's what the report was from Dr. Hasib. And then they followed the recommendation that they see that the child see a pediatric infectious disease expert at the University of Michigan. And that was just done today.
After it's provided pandas.
And our position is, Your Honor, if the child has pandas, let's say it does, then where is the authority coming from his mother still for dad to have parenting time? I'm not connecting pandas disorder with his parenting time. To me, the connection is just not there. You know, I've just had lots of experience as a registered nurse with children with psych problems, and I don't see that. I see it as that this boy, 12-year-old boy, is orchestrating the major events in his life, and that mother is incapable of exercising any authority over him to have him do what he needs to be doing. He's sitting at home, halfway homeschooling. He's obese by definition. He has no outside activities, and he does what he wants. That's what I see.
Right.
Well, Your Honor, I think if you read Mr. Jednick's report, you'll see that since Mr. Enix has stepped back, the child is improving. He has lost some weight. He is moving in the right direction. And I believe that if we get the diagnosis, even if it's a diagnosis that Mr. Enix does not like, we can then be back in the court and say, this is what the diagnosis is from these providers. And in addition to that, we will then have the psychologicals done, and we can determine who has the appropriate parenting skills or who has any psychological disorders that might be impacting this child. I think it's reasonable, given that this child is absolutely refusing to go to his father, that it's not mother's parenting, but rather Mr. Enix's behavior that's causing this to happen. And I think we need the remainder of these tools that are recommended by friend of the court in order to reach a resolution.
Your Honor, this court has been looking at Mr. Enix for over a year.
Ms. Trout, do you
They
have a
haven't
background
been
in
looking
nursing?
at the mother for over a year. Something
Right.
is amiss with that relationship.
No question. Ms. Trout, you have a background in nursing, is that correct?
I'm a registered nurse with and I concentrated in child and adolescent psychiatry.
Well, good. Obviously, this child has some psychological problems. What do you think? As opposed, do you think he needs a neuropsych evaluation or something other than neuropsych?
No, I think this child has more of a psychological, not neuropsych, but a psychological problem. Well, the neural part will come when they finally get the MRI, when they, if there's some kind of neural problem with him, it'll show up on an MRI. This child is oppositional. He has a behavior, psychological problem rather than anything the neurological going on with him. And I would concede to him having pandas or anything else you want to name. Fine.
Right. So an MRI would show whether or not it's a neuropsych problem.
That along with testing.
Okay, Ms. Wackowiak, has the MRI been scheduled?
It is waiting for approval from insurance. Yes, we are trying to get the MRI scheduled. And it's my understanding that the child will then go back once the MRI is done, he'll have one appointment with Dr. Hasib, correct? I believe so. He'll follow up, which is the person who did the neuropsych. He will probably as you indicated, indicate that there's nothing neuropsychological. We've already just said we could do the psychological of the parents and the child, so that means Hunter would get the psychological that he needs. And we would do the follow-up with Dr. Chenoweth, who is the infectious disease expert, which is why the friend of the court recommended that we follow all the recommendations of both Dr. Hasib and Dr. Lloyd.
Okay, the billing for the MRI has been submitted to both insurers, mom as well as dad's.
But dad doesn't have any insurance. It's just my insurance. It's been put through the place that he's going through, and they're going through the insurance process with my insurance.
So even though the neuropsychologist, Dr. Hasib, is recommending it, the insurance company is still balking?
Yeah, and that's typical. They said to expect one. Insurance companies apparently deny the first one usually, but they said it should hopefully just take a couple of weeks. We've already done the EEG in-house at Dr. Hasib's office, but they don't do MRIs there, so they had to send it to an imaging place. But it's
Dr.
in
Hasib recommended on June 27th, that's 6 weeks ago. And Mr. Enix, you don't have insurance covering the Hunter?
Well, my insurance is Cigna, and ProMedica no longer takes Cigna. So we had to find a place to be able to do the MRI. So again, it's in process. We've already found the place to do it.
Well, this is too long. We need to change. If ProMedica would not cover these expenses, we can't wait 6 months for an MRI.
Well, that's why we're not going through ProMedica. We're going through Mercy because they will take his insurance and not give us problems.
Okay. So is it that referral from Dr. Hasib has been sent to Mercy Hospital then?
Correct.
Okay. What was the response? We'll let you know.
Yes, I've already spoke to them. They were just again waiting for approval from insurance. Those MRIs are rather expensive, so you have to get approval from insurance, even if you have a referral from the doctor. I'm sure there's not going to be an issue. But we've already done the EEG, we've done the blood work.
But it's been 6 weeks. The court's concerned about the time frame. Mr. Nix, you have no insurance on Hunter?
No, we've always had Miss Simon carry insurance.
Right,
That's the way she wanted it from the beginning. But
Right,
there
so
is also
Ms.
a
Simon, follow up on that.
psychologist.
You need to push that insurance company. I'm just surprised that the physician is recommending that the insurance company would balk.
Your Honor, there's a child psychologist right down the road in Lambertville that deals with Mercy that I told her about because I knew going into it, ProMedica won't take his insurance, but Mercy does. So we need to deal with Mercy side of things because it will all move much quicker.
The information to Ms. Trout. Ms. Trout can pass it on to Ms. Moscoviak if that will speed things up.
What we had asked for, Your Honor, and Ms. LaPrette, she did address the fact that Dad is not getting any medical information. There's stuff presented today that was disseminated out today in our hearing, our conference this morning or this afternoon, that Dad had no idea had happened. So she did address it and saying that he needs to, because we have my chart now, people can log on and you get immediate. You leave the doctor in an hour, your results are there. We have no idea what the blood test that was ordered came back with. No idea of anything. So she did address that, and we do agree with the my chart, but mom needs to inform Dad of things that's going on medically. They do have joint legal custody, and she needs to do that. And not only inform with joint legal custody, he's supposed to be making decisions with her. But in this circumstance, we'll settle for some information, at least, to come to him. The other thing we asked for, Your Honor, was immediate therapeutic or reunification parenting time. We got stuck on that as how we're going to get that to happen because the child is refusing to go from one place to another. And I am abreast. I did see on YouTube where this court went out of its way ordering for mom to show up in the parking lot for days with this kid. I get it, Your Honor. I've seen that. I don't know what to do as far as trying to reunify this dad with his son. I say take Dad where he is rather than taking the kid where Dad is. He's at home, then maybe Dad can go and have a half an hour visit without mom being present and grandparents being present. That kind of thing, you know, where dad goes where he is rather than trying to bring the child where dad is. And we also asked, Your Honor, for the child support payments to be placed in escrow until mother can follow up on what she needs to do, follow up on his court orders, and that dad have at least 3 parenting time sessions, even if they're 15 minutes to half an hour with the child, and that she submits herself to a psychological examination. Those are the things that we asked for. We did get the access to the medical records, and hopefully that happens. So we just too long kicking the can down the road 5 months to come back to the same thing. And then there's no criteria in the report to say what should have happened, what should happen in 5 months.
Your Honor, I want to respond just to those 3 things briefly. In terms of, we did get an agreement, or we did have a recommendation regarding the medical information, but it is not so simple as the mom simply not providing medical information. As you know, there's been lots of drama that's been involved, including Mr. Enix posting the court proceedings on various YouTube and social media. Which
I understand. We're talking about medical information on
Right.
app close.
I understand, but the reason that it wasn't getting provided is that my client was getting threats from people because he was posting things. And so she was afraid that if he found out about medical appointments, he was going to send people there to obstruct the appointments and or to cause harm to her or the child. That is why we put the provision in there that said that he will not interfere in any way in those appointments. So she is going to provide that information, but I didn't want the court to think that there wasn't a reason. There was a valid reason that he wasn't getting that information. As to taking Mr. Enix to where the child is, as Your Honor is well aware, we have done that before. It was unsuccessful. There were conflicts that arose at the house, and there were problems even when only my client was there. And finally, as to the child support escrow, that of course doesn't make any sense, given that the child support belongs to the child, and it would be denying Hunter the benefit of that money if we were to escrow that while my client has possession of the child.
Right, but the court will not escrow child support at this point in time. Mr. Jednick, first of all, the court's going to move this review up. Is everyone available on November 6th rather than December? Let's move November 6th, 1:30 or 2:30.
Yes.
Check your schedules.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Ms. Trout, Mr. Jednick.
I'm good with November 6th.
I'm available.
Okay, so the court will review this matter November 6th. Do you want 1:30 or 2:30?
Either one.
It's at 1:30 then. November 6th at 1:30. Finally, Mr. Jednick, the court would like your opinion in terms of only the plaintiff screened psychological evaluation. There does not seem to this court to be concerns about father's parenting skills. It seems like, yes, he's frustrated. He posted some things publicly that he should not have, but it seems like his contacts, his relationship with Hunter has always been appropriate. The court does not recall any incidences where he acted inappropriately or physically attempted to pull Hunter out of the house or something. Do you believe we need a psychological evaluation of Mr. Enix?
I don't disagree with the facts the court laid out. My 2 cents on that is I don't want psychological evaluations to be framed as a punishment. We're trying to get to the bottom of what the problem is here. And if that involves ruling out things with mom and ruling out things with dad with that evaluation, that might give insight. So I don't want to frame it as a punishment. I just want to rule things out and get answers on things. And if the evaluator says there's no problem with Mr. Enix, frankly, I think they would strengthen his position if he wants that to be said. So.
And John, I just had to represent to the court that the psychological evaluation came from me. And I asked for it for a mother because of what we're seeing here between this mother and this child. It raises a red flag for me. And she's been the one that's been exposed. It was my request for her. There was no request out for him. He was just lumped into the equation. as the discussion went on. So I would still reiterate the